Morning to you too, Space Monkey Live. PokeyPoke, Pokemon Show. Next time, Pokashon. I'm not sure what that means, but sounds cool. So yeah, we got a new sprite. Anyway, so I'm gonna cut all this out, and we're gonna start from say like here. So today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at making some doors in PokeyPoke. I don't know how easy it's gonna be. I don't know how many random stumbling blocks I'm gonna run into during the live stream and during the process of doing it, but that's the fun of doing these things live now and again, is it's less of that kind of super hyper-structured, like, I know everything that's going on, I've got the script and I can just do it bit by bit by bit, and everyone watches it and they're just like, man, how did you get so good? Like, you don't even have to look in the manual, what the hell? And it's more realistic in terms of how I actually code stuff and how I actually kind of build things, which is often messy and often get stuck a lot and change things around, and I have to keep running and rerunning and running into bugs and so on, and that's how I develop, you know? I'm not perfect, and hopefully sort of showcasing some of that, which I already think I kind of do at some of my live streams and stuff, but showcasing that in more of a video form, I guess, is a cool way of sort of demonstrating to people that that, you know, if they recognize some of the flaws and mistakes I make in their own work, they can think, well, that guy made a game, you know, why can't I? And then that maybe gets people doing this stuff more. So anyway, yeah, so as I was mentioning, some people who got here earlier, we've got some new sprites and stuff going on in PokeyPoke, so you may see the character look kind of weird or like have multiple hands and places and that kind of thing. Because we're working on a new character for PokeyPoke at the moment. I say we, that's me and my artist for the game, InkedSplat. You can follow him on Twitter at InkedSplat, I'm sure I'll pop him in the description, something like that. He's been working on some cool new character sprites for the game. So if the character looks kind of weird or I've got pink hair and stuff while we're running it, that's gonna be why. What's the live stream about maybe PokeyPoke Day 3? I mean, this is well, it's not really day 3. I've been doing other stuff off stream. You'll see some of the things that have gone in since last time if you've been following along. But today, what we're gonna focus on specifically doing in the game is triggering doors. So we're gonna put, like, we've got our buttons that I've put in the game, and I think I've put a bit more in them than you guys probably have seen. Unsure how much of it. I streamed quite a bit of building these. In fact, I might have streamed all of the building of those. I don't remember. But anyway, we've got these buttons. You can stick the spear in them and they like glow or blue. So we want to go from there to then having those buttons actually do a thing. So what we're going to do is construct some kind of door here. I've got a way I'm thinking about doing it. Vaguely, but I'm not really going into this with the same sort of like plan, like, so it's definitely not going to be like a tutorial on doing this stuff. I'm just working, and you guys are free to sort of follow along, and you know, obviously I'll be stopping again to answer questions and things like that. So if you're watching this post back, like, you might want to just skip ahead to the parts that are more interesting to you and all that kind of thing. Yeah, I had a lot of Windows 10 update problems over the last couple of days, and it's been a huge pain in the ass. I think there are some remaining issues behind my computer and my E drive. One of my hard drives, I think, might have some corrupt files or something on it. I did a scan and fixed the thing the other day, but just every now and again, software that needs to interact with that drive, like Adobe Premiere and a few other things, and Pillars of Eternity 2, the game, like, which is installed on my E drive. Whenever it did loading stuff, sometimes it would just get stuck for a really, really, really long time, like it was running into some bad or corrupted sector or something like that. So I think there might still be some weird issues lingering behind there. Anyway, let me just run this. I've just sort of opened this, just to be a bit more clear about what exactly we're trying to do today. We have as I say, we've got some new character sprites, so whenever it comes up on OBS, probably has it now. We've got this person running around, we've got our new fancy camera. As I say, the jumping and falling is going to look weird because there's a new sprites. So what I'm going to do, you see I've got this weird tile here, that's just there as a marker for me for where I was going to put this button. I'm going to make it so you can throw a thing into the thing, and it's going to open like a door in here. And then we're going to kind of probably scatter a few of those down here in the other areas with level design. If I've got some time left over, I'm going to work on some crumbling blocks and some other cool stuff. But I might stop and restart the stream if I do that, just to sort of retitle the thing that is actually contained within the video and try and keep it accurate. So that's what we're going to do. First of all, I actually want to stick one of those things in, so I've got my lower entities layer, which I'm kind of keeping for now just all of my stuff that is like below the dirt, below the rock, below the player, all that kind of thing. And that's most entities actually. That's things like spikes and stars and all that kind of stuff. I'm just sort of keeping them in one place. I've tried to consolidate my layers a bunch. Yeah, the corrupt partition on your hard drive. Yeah, I feel like maybe something like that is happening. I might have solved it the other night because I did find a corrupt file, but no, it's hard to know because it's just like, you know, I just wait and see if the issue ever crops up again. I'm going to plunk that there. I've taken to not bothering even using the grid to like set things like these buttons up. I just want to position them precisely so I can sort of neatly sort of slot them into the wall and just sort of make sure they look nice and correct. Now I know where that is. Now I've got that in there. I can do that and clean that up because I knew that was driving some people insane. Just seeing that one block looking wrong out there for a really long time. And I don't know that I'm going to keep this dirt either because that implies that you can like climb up to it. God of War stole the ability to recall a weapon from me. Oh dang. To be fair, I'm pretty sure I am not the first person making a video game who has implemented that mechanic. More notably, Nintendo stole my frog form from Space Shifter, and they put it in Mario Odyssey, and it's exactly the same. I'm obviously joking. They've probably never seen my game in their life, but. But like that game had a frog form, and just like the animation and the way, and the thing it does is let you jump way higher. It's just exactly like carbon copy of the mechanic from the thing. Only obviously in a 3D world rather than a 2D one, but it is exactly the same. I've never seen that before. I've never seen someone do something that I did just like exactly the same. Which, you know, is something that happens. If it's very... I'm glad I could help. I'm glad I could help you. So, there'll be people watching this post-fact now lamenting the fact that I'm talking about a little nonsense. It takes me forever to actually get to the point, even more than when I'm doing a tutorial video. But hey, suck it, that's what live streams are all about. So, the way I'm thinking of doing this is like having essentially an object that just sort of starts in one y coordinate and has like a target y coordinate, right, that it'll move to. I think I probably want to build it with like a possible x coordinate in mind as well. I don't feel like I need to keep talking. I always need to keep talking, man. I don't know. You'll find when I actually start coding, I spend a lot of time just silent as well. I spend a lot of time just staring into space, just thinking about how I'm going to do a thing. But yeah, so I'm going to split it into I'm going to make a new, it's going to be an entity. So that's kind of how I've grouped objects up as well in this game is, what do we call it? A door. That's nice and simple, right? We need to make like a sprite for this. That's going to be interesting as well. It's like, how big do I might, instead of just using a coordinate, because what I was thinking of doing is like just having an object, right? So you think about like a crate and having it just like move upwards into the wall, because if it moves into the wall, that's fine. But I might instead want to do like a draw part or something, and base it on like the height of the sprite, and then I can have different ones of different sizes and not have to worry about, like, say if I had an area of dirt that was just like this and I wanted to put a door there, not have to worry about the fact that it would come through and show up on the other side. So this is the thing of trying to think through how these things are going to work, because it's going to affect how versatile it is. And when you implement a new mechanic like this, it always helps if you can reuse it and do lots of stuff with it. So I'm gonna make a basic sprite that I think our first one we want to make it like what is the gap here? Like 1, 2, it's 64. It's 128. So let's make a 64 by 32 canvas in here, and let's just make it like a box like this, and do that just so we know where the top is, you know. Let's just make it even more clear. Collision wise, I think I'm gonna make it an block, right? So it's oh wait, do I have that anymore? I do. So I do have P block. Yeah, because I remember running into an issue in my head of how blocks and entities were gonna work. Because in terms of how I've structured my parents, I've got like P entity, which is like everything. So that can like anything that can be like paused when I want to do like game pauses and stuff like that. And then like smaller like sub-parents, subcategories. So we've got Pokeball entities and things that can be interacted with the sphere. Simple entities are things that basically don't really have much or any interaction except maybe like a collision with the player type of thing, like coins and stars are in there at the moment. Kebab is something that you can like pierce and get on the end of your spear. And block, which is something that you can walk into and has like fall and collision. The problem is that I feel like some of these poke entities will also want to be blockers, or blockers will want to be Pokeball. But I think my solution to that was to just write separate poking code for P-block entities as well as P-poke entities, which I think will work long term. I don't think it's too bad. Do I ever get stuck on simple things for hours? Like, yes, I absolutely do. And I'm sure you'll see plenty of that as we do here. Not just me getting stuck because I'm talking about nonsense, but just because I don't necessarily know what I'm doing. Sometimes maybe I'm talking just to stall time while I think of what to do. No, usually if I'm thinking what to do, I do this, and I go, and then I stare into space. I don't actually know. Anyway, the door, right, so we've got our sprite. Let's give this a name. Door 64. And that's how we'll name these. So we'll base them on like different heights. Maybe we'll want to do widths and stuff as well. I don't know. But yeah, I'm just thinking about this because so my plan was to use like draw sprite part to do. So we draw like part of the door. But that's not gonna move the collision box, which is a problem. So I was thinking if I did that, then I could, yeah. But how could I then shrink the collision mask just based on how I'm drawing it? Well, if I'm just using draw sprite part, I can actually just change the X scale. I can give like the thing a mask and just change its X scale. Yeah, I think it's a little weird, but I think that might be the way to go. So if I give this like the mask of say maybe do I want to mask it with its same? Let's just give it the door sprite for now. I was thinking if I shrink, because like the problem with image X scale and stuff is that's a percentage, right? And I could make the doors open at a percentage rate. That'd probably work, but then we've got issues of drawing to subpixels, which I kind of want to avoid. And it doesn't matter if the collision and the thing are like off by like a pixel or whatever. So I could just do some rounding. Yeah, let's keep it the same as the sprite for now. Let's hopefully just make it rely on whatever its sprite is to do its thing. So let's add the oh, my voice is already going. The draw event. I don't think this needs a description really. It's the draw event. It's where we are rendering. I'm gonna draw a sprite part, and then I'm gonna do sprite index subimage 0. Will we want to animate these at any point? I suppose it doesn't actually matter, because we could just throw the image index into here if I do want to do. Well, pardon me. Do you want to do that? Sprite part. So I want to do 0. The top is something we want to decrease, so that's we want to like that's the variable, right? Like opened. Width. Right, so these doors are definitely probably only going to work vertically. I was hoping I could work out a way to make them work in either direction, but I think I'll just have to make a separate object, separate parent for that just does the things the other way. I think that's easier than trying to like overcomplicate it. Height. Well, if I'm drawing off the height, I can just make sprite height, I think. I don't think that's then gonna like cause like a tiling thing or anything. We'll see how it works. And then X. Oh no, we're up to height. Oh, we didn't do width. Sprite width. Oh, sprite height changes with image X scale though, doesn't it? We'll do sprite height, and then what we'll do is in the create event, do that, because that gets the actual height of the sprite rather than the current height of the sprite. Weird watching someone else try to work this stuff out once. I mean, that's the idea. Oh, if you can ask. When I'm not streaming, do I still talk to myself? I do in my head. No, not so much out loud. I'm doing a trigger hitbox. So yeah, it's not a door that opens with a like walking up to it kind of thing. It's, although that would be a way to do it. I kind of want to make it flexible in that I can just pass a number, so like to the doors, and just be like activate equal true, and then if they are like closed, they will open, or if they are open, they will close, kind of thing. Which is exactly what the buttons do at the moment. These buttons, like if like they get activate on or off, they turn blue and so on. And then it's easy for me to trigger the door in lots of ways. So I could trigger it if you did walk up close to it. I could put like a trigger area near the door that sends activate to that specific door. Or I could or I could do, which is what the main thing I'm trying to do, which is get the buttons to do it. So when the buttons are active, they send the thing to the thing and open the door. Let's just go with Sean, CSS, given that's, you know, my name. How come all the rest are like very Pokemon related, and then you just got like the 3 Seansters at the end? Why 3? Sprite height. Right, so that's gonna be the height of the sprite. Why I don't need to make. I like making short names, but let's try and be clearer with my variable names. Let's just do that. I mean, I know it's like, well, why is that a thing like that? But well, I know, so it doesn't matter. X is gonna be x minus x. offset, or is it sprite X offset? That's the one. Y minus Y, because it draws, when you use draw sprite part, it ignores your origin point, and it just draws it from the top left of wherever you, it acts as if it's got a top left origin basically where you draw it, and just draws it like that. So you have to adjust for that if you still want to make use of your origin and where it's placed to draw it in the correct position. So, which we can do by doing that. So this variable, this top thing, is what we want to be kind of calculating. So I am going to go into the step event, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that just to open. We're going to have an open percent. That's going to be the name of it. So open percent equals 0. Which I actually might, yeah, I'm going to put that in variable definitions in case I want to define that on an instance basis, but we want it at 0. And I'm going to say, just for now, open percent equals like divided by 1,000,000, which gives you, is going to give me a number between 0 and 1. Which just means I can allow this to flow, and we can see how it works. So open percent multiplied by sprite height, right? So now if I place that in the game, I just want to see if I'm understanding how it happens so far. And so we can just sort of build up an understanding of this over time. So let's just plonk you like there. So like 16 away from this. Triggered has literally never meant offended, and it's kind of bad that anyone thinks that that's what it's ever meant. So this stretches all the way down, but then like it kind of keeps going, and like, so what's going on there? Because it's like, is it drawing like double the height of the square? Okay. Default GameMaker, I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna say no. Edit objects. So what I was expecting to happen was it to cycle percent down. Oh wait, no, sign is between 1 and -1, not 1 and 0. Silly me. So that might just be the only problem there. So if it's like, yeah, because then it's drawing from the top. Yeah, okay. So let's say it's let's just use wave. Do I have wave? I do. Okay. Wave. Open percent. Oh no, you just type between 0, 1, over a second, offset 0, right? There we go. So that's kind of doing what more of what we expected it to. Just making sure my camera is still working. That's a good test of it because it's just right on the edge. Okay, so just by using draw sprite part, we can control how much of the thing actually gets drawn into the room. Now, what's interesting is I actually do need it to be more than 64 because it needs to stick into the roofs. Let's move the player along as well. Let's just shove you over here so we don't have to walk down there every time. Over the gap as well. Bring lower entities, you over here. And yeah, so this is the problem here, is we need to cover this space with the door as well, which I think is probably just a matter of if I make top center here, we just add, I think it's always just a guarantee we need another 2 pixels, but if we just go straight to like 70. Oh, oops. Let's resize it properly. So let's resize from the bottom. Actually, let's just go to 2 so that we know it's 2 for now. We can add more if we ever really need to. And just add that in. We can still call it door 64 because we know that's the actual space it's meant to occupy, and then that gives us a reference for that height. Then just bring the origin down by 2. And then back in our room, we should find I can just place it like there. Just I can align it with the grid that way. And we're good. So I'm going to copy and paste you, because I want to see what on earth happens with you upside down, because I don't think I've taken that properly into consideration. I have to see. Can you just draw sprite part at an angle? I don't actually know. That might be draw sprite part ext. Because that might help me just do the vertical thing and everything. So it's hard to tell if let me bring you down, because you do inherit from OP block at the moment. Oh no, you don't. Parent P block. So that's. I want to know what on earth's happening here. I have, yes, slider. I just like those kind of things take a long time to get used to using, and because I do tutorials and stuff a lot, I don't like the environment I use to do tutorials becomes what I become naturally really used to. So and that's always just going to be the default. It's kind of the curse in a way of doing lots of tutorials, is that you end up using a lot of like the very default preferences, default settings and stuff, and just really committing to them, because otherwise you'll find yourself getting confused when you swap between your personal workflow and your tutorial workflow kind of thing. Which, I mean, you can change by just like making your tutorial workflow your personal workflow by like just telling people in your videos like, oh hey, I do so like I've changed the font to be this and this, but like unless you're gonna do that every video, I don't know, I just feel like it's always better for tutorials if you just use the defaults and the things that like, so when people see it on their screen they're just like, oh yes, that looks like how mine looks, and they kind of understand it better. So that's why I don't tend to really be able to use stuff like GMEdit and GMLine and stuff long term, even though I think they're really cool. They would probably help me out a lot. There's something going on there. That's interesting. Did I move that one to be right, of course, yeah, and that's the upside down one. So okay, so how do we deal with one that's upside down? So there is an ext, so what comes in this? X, Y, we've got X scale, Y scale, right, okay, sure. So now, hopefully, maybe what we can do is simply put, there's no rotation in that, is there? No, that's okay. Let's just put, this line is getting long, image X scale, image Y scale, C, white, and alpha image alpha, right? What does that even mean, Black? Is the hero a tank meme? What? Okay, so this is more what we were expecting. Problem is, at the moment, the hitbox doesn't change with it, okay? So what I think I'm going to do is... so image X scale... because I was going to change that to vary the collision box with open%, right? But the problem is if I then do that, how do I then still be able to do like upside down ones? Upside down doors? Because I was thinking maybe I could just do sign, like S-I-G-N, not S-I-N-E. The sign of image X at Y scale, but which will give me +1 or -1 depending on if it's positive or negative. But what about when it hits 0 is the issue there. Oh, when it hits 0, it's 0, right? So who cares? Yeah, it doesn't actually need to be. Yeah, okay. I think that possibly works. I'll move my overlay. I might read from that text. It's hard. Like I've got this like restream thing over here with the chat, but it's like kind of hard to broadcast a nickname. Broadcaster, nice one. Can I make them smaller so I can see more of the message? Nickname. Is that like a more compact mode? Oh yeah, that's better. I can see a few more things in that version of it. No, the character is not Ugandan. God, Ugandan Knuckles is like the worst thing to happen to the internet in so long. Which is a shame because we live in a golden age of memes right now with actually good memes going around that are like funny, interesting, creative. And then you've got just dumb racist parodies and it's like, oh, great. For all the good, there is always a lot of rubbish. You want my skill set? I do have a degree, but it's not in coding. Like all the code I've learned in GameMaker, I've learned it myself, or from tutorials and that kind of thing. Like, I never studied GameMaker at university other than like by myself. Although I guess a lot of the study you do at university is by yourself anyway. They are the Dark Turnip. Like, people shit on a lot of like the placeholder like exploitable memes, like things like the chopper argument guy and the is this a pigeon anime thing, and what's some of the other ones, the jealous girlfriend thing, the cheating boyfriend thing, but they're awesome. Like, and I think people crap on it because there's this weird like myth that like the originality is really a thing. When it's not. Like, everything people ever do creatively is like an iteration, or like it's an iteration and like an improvement upon something that already exists, and therefore like. But people think that's not true and that things can actually genuinely be creative, and because like the working is laid like so bare in those kind of memes, like you can see like obviously they got that meme from there and they changed some of the text around and created like a new thing. Because that's so obvious, I think a lot of people are like, it's not creative, because they've got this weird idea in their head that it's possible to be creative, like in a genuine like super original idea sense. Like something can ever truly be original. And so people are like meh about that, but I think there's a beautiful. I think I'm kind of paraphrasing how Matt Lees described it, just sort of vaguely on Twitter. He was just sort of rambling, but I think it's absolutely true what he said, which is that there's like a beautiful truth exposed in those kind of exploitable placeholder memes of just like how everyone is just building on one another's work to create cool stuff. And that's why memes are great. That's why some memes are great, anyway. The worst ones are the ones where it's just the one boring crap in-joke that doesn't make sense on its own, and people just repeat it to one another. And that's it. Pickle Rick! Ugandan Knuckles, and it's just... That sucks. Because it's nothing, and it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't change, it's just this static dumb thing that you're just told to believe is funny without actually there being any reason for it to be funny. Anyway, so enough about my random tangent on memes, because someone said something about memes. Let's get back to making this door work. So, sorry, that just happens in these streams, what can I say? So this is working pretty well. What I just did, I keep having to stretch this like super massive. Let's just let's do this. That makes more sense. Close the workspace down. Press F12 and we can almost see the whole line. It takes up my whole monitor. Sign image Y scale. So that's giving me like 1 or -1 depending on the direction, because that's all we actually want that for, is to be able to flip it down or upside down. Now what I can do, hopefully, is make it... Oh, what's my degree? My degree is in creative digital media, but it was kind of a... It's a complicated story. I effectively did a game design degree. I'll talk more about that in a bit if you want me to. But so what I need to do now is make it so that the collision mask changes is the problem, because like the door opens, but I mean, what I could do is just keep it like that and just say, oh, only when it's fully opened can you get through it, which actually kind of might be handy to prevent certain kinds of bugs and stuff, but or certain behavior, because it gives you very precise behavior in that kind of way. The door is either fully open or just fully closed, but it doesn't look great when you're trying to jump through it, and there's clearly a gap and you're not getting through it. That's bad. The game isn't providing back the feedback that it's providing a contradictory state for the game world, right? So let's make that collision box move. I think we can actually do this just by changing our... I was going to say we could do it by changing our image Y scale, but now I've just thought kind of won't, because it's based around the origin, but the origin's at the top. The origin's at the top, so it might work. I have to bear in mind when I do this that the image Y scale could be -1 or -1 at this point in time. So I kind of want to just make it approach 0. So when we run the create event, can I do like image Y scale start equal image? Let's just do it, call it that actually. Y scale start. It doesn't even need to be that. Really, does it? Yeah, it does. It doesn't need to be, but it helps. So if I do that, then I could actually have used that in the drawer as well, thinking about it, but it should not matter. Image Y scale equals multiplied by I go to draw, what I can do is do draw hitbox, which is a script I wrote which should just draw like a red thing over the top of where the collision box is. Can I zoom the code a bit more? It's hard because the line is so long at the moment, but I will try and do that generally. Okay, so it's kind of happening in reverse of what we want. That's very interesting. Why would it do that? Well, like, I've gotten something not quite right here. Because when I'm drawing it down there, we would have thought Y scale view open percent would be 1. Yeah, so if it's 1 times 1, 1 times minus 1. Oh, that's open percent though, isn't it? Because, like, that's how much it's open, which... So when that's 1, open draws all the way from the bottom and it closes. Yeah, okay. So I've just kind of confused myself as to what that value actually represents. So it's like 1 minus open percent? I'll show you. I know it was just a typo, by the way. Having a Sean dream before work was... that's what I'm call these are. They're not streams anymore, they're dreams. Cool, so that kind of works, other than the obvious problem in that... Man, maybe I really don't want them to change... Maybe I don't know. Just thinking now, maybe I actually... Because I've got to deal with the fact that they move otherwise. Like, do I want them to push you? Oh gosh, maybe this is more complicated than I thought. Like, because then it's like essentially writing, what's it? Moving platforms at that point. Because you can level this, like, if I wanted to be quick, what I could just say is just level design around it so that you never have the chance to really interact with it when it's, like, opening or closing. I feel like I'm going to want that. So... there's going to have to be something I do with the... with P block to say if you're actually inside it to push it along, or to give you some sort of extra momentum with it. I'm not sure what that should be. What should that be? Watching you in the middle of an English lesson. Pay attention to your lesson. You know, I stream all the time, you can watch the footage later. Go do your school. Stay in school, kids. Keep the doors from closing with this beer. Right, like wedge it between. That's kind of a neat idea, but don't know how I'd do that. Yeah, like I can envision how it like should work in the end in terms of like, okay, so they should just push you either way, and if they would crush you, then you die, kind of thing. It's the methodology of actually achieving that I'm just trying to think through. So... Is it normal to start learning GML at 15? There's no such thing as normal, but that's pretty young to learn code, so cool. You're young and you're doing a thing you want to do, so that in itself is, yeah, that's good. You're too old like the Jedi. Too old to begin the training. Yeah, I mean, Super Sunday, that's a given-ish, but, like, it's, I mean, like, I'm not always close, like, and when I'm here, like, how to make it so I'm pushed up by the thing. And rather than just diving in and be like, okay, let's just make that happen, I'm just thinking about the consequences different methods for that would actually have on the game, because everything has consequences. Because this doesn't move in the way that lots of things normally move. It doesn't have like a HSP or VSP type thing or any of that nonsense. It literally just changes its hitbox. So the hitboxes might overlap the player at some point. And it's like, if it does, then we kind of want to push the player with it, right? Well, yeah, I suppose we can assume that if ever there's an act, like, the only way the player collides with the door is if the door is moving towards being closed, right? Because if it's open, the player is moving towards, like, or if it's moving down, or moving up because it's the up half of the door, it's compressing, it's reducing space, so it can't go from a space to less space and then find itself covering the player, you know? Because the player object will never collide with the block intentionally, because it'll move as close as it can and stop moving. It's how its collision works. The problem is that the box moves independently, and so when it comes from a space to a bigger space, it's possible that the bigger space occupies the player. So what I can do is check to see if that's happened. If that's happened, we know what kind of collision has happened. We know that the door is opening, so that we can push the player in the direction that we moved. We need to know exactly how much bigger we got. So we need to know what how much distance was actually covered. And depending how we open the door, we might want to lerp its opening and closing, so that's going to vary. But if we can work out that distance, what we can do is just shunt the player by that amount whenever there's a collision, and that should work. The only issue is then working out how to tell if, like, two doors do that at once, which is when we want to kill the player, right? But we can probably just check to see if it happens all on one frame. Probably. So, okay, so this might not be so bad. So we need to work out that distance. So it's good using wave for this because it includes kind of a lerping about it, because it's using sine. So we know what a percent is. Open percent previous equals open percent. And don't really need to do this, but I'm just gonna stick that in the create event as well. That, and then that becomes a new thing. So we know the distance that it has moved. Yeah, and then that will be set in that. Yeah, okay. Wave thing might cause issues because that tends to set it to a thing. No, it should be fine. It should be fine. Yeah, because we know how much it's then moved and what. Yeah, unless it's like you're colliding with it within the first frame of the game, there shouldn't be any kind of issue. Is OBS still working here? Okay, good. There was a little red dot on it, and I was like, what's that? What does that mean? But it probably just meant I was live. Drop frame 0 live. Yeah, cool. Every now and again I get a bit paranoid. That kind of thing, because I've had it before where I've just not noticed that the stream's gone down for like 10 minutes. Yeah, that's a cool idea, Slider. There's a lot of cool things I could do with this, and that's why I want to make it like as flexible as possible to allow that kind of thing. Okay, so oh no, not var, so I might want to do it in a different event, but open percent this frame equals I'm useless with difference calculations of working out which one should be where, and I almost always get it wrong. The previous one, say it was at 0.15, and then it was 0.20, so 0.2 minus 0.15, 0.20, 0.2 minus 1.15 is 0.05. 0.45 of movement downward. That is correct. Okay, and then it's going the other direction, going from minus 0.2 to minus 0.3, minus 0.3, minus 0.2. What am I saying? Sometimes the most basic maths trips me up, man. Like, just, my brain's not working, bust out the calculator crutch. So you've got like minus 0.2 and you minus going from minus 0.2 to minus 0.3, so minus 0.1 down. Let's move 1 down. Okay, cool. Oh, not down, but away, right? So yeah, that's actually fine. If greater than 0, so that means that we are opening. Yeah, open. Wait. Yeah, as this increases. No, we want it to be the other way around, don't we? Yeah, because it's the amount that it's open, not the amount that it's closed. So if open has, we need to know how much open has decreased by if it's closing. So does that mean I can just swap them around and get that? So it's if it's closing. So if it's 100% open, it's 1 open, and it goes to 0.9. That means 1 minus 0.9 minus 1 is negative 0.1. No, it is the other way around, because it's like open percent previous is 1 minus open percent 0.9. We've opened. We've closed by 0.1. So it was working? I'm going to assume it's working. So if it's above 0, then. If it's above 0 because we're doing that. Yeah, I think. I swear that, what? The math is breaking my head. it's too confusing because the fact that I've used open to be like, I'm thinking of open as being like 0% thing, but maybe I should have used closed % the whole time. Like that feels like it would have been so much smarter than to have done it this way around. But so you're fully open, or you were fully open, and then minus 0.9, you're now 0.1. But like, say you were 0.8, oops, you were 0.8 open, then you're 0.5 open. That means you've closed by 0.3. I'm going to call it closed amount. I'm going to call it closed % actually. I mean, it's... No, I'm going to call it closed % this frame. Trying to just include as much detail in the variable name as possible. So let's do that. Why not both Super Sunday? Like, yeah, I am planning to make this a fully released, shipped game, but I'm using the process of working on it to create more content for all of you, because why not? That allows me to sort of do both my jobs at once, right? Because this isn't really a tutorial video as such, but you could kind of use it in that way, I suppose. You can kind of see my thought processes and that kind of thing, but it is less useful than a typical tutorial, because obviously I'm still working it all out as I go. 100% in this frame is greater than 0. We can then check if place meeting xy o player. I don't know if that breaks if there's no player. But if it does, that's a really easy fix later on. So no, I don't think it breaks if there's no player. Yeah, I think it's just fine, isn't it? So equal closed % this frame. Although I don't know, because like this doesn't quite work. Because if I think about it, we've got, say we've got like. Yeah, I could feel that sneeze coming on for ages and it just wasn't coming. So there we go. Pardon me. We got these coming and say like, yeah, so the problem is if you end up there, because that used to be here. The problem is if I work out this distance and then shunt the player by the same distance, you're gonna end up not flush. So you're gonna end up like that, with like there being like this much gap in between. But what I could do is shunt you by that amount and then while loop you back to it. And hopefully that wouldn't cause any kind of stupid horrible crashes. We can make a safety check on that, but so okay, so let's start with that as a base. So close % this frame multiplied by I think we have our sprite height, right? Yeah. So that's how many pixels there are, right? And let's seal that as well. We'll just round it up. with oPlayer y plus equal shove amount multiplied by, oh yeah, let's do that here rather than calculate that in there. Seal times so we know which direction it is. Okay. Shove amount. So that should do something. It's not gonna work perfectly. There's more we need to do here, but we should start to actually see that having an effect. So I want to run it now and just see what the crack is. So, right, okay. Yeah, that's doing as we expect. And like, yeah, it's doing that kind of thing on it because it's making this like airborne over and over kind of thing. We'll shove amount, and then what we want to do is we've pushed you out, and then we want to kind of, it's like doing the reverse of our regular collision. So we've pushed you out, and then we want to sort of while loop you back to be flush with the surface. So while is it slow to be doing these? I think it's going to be fine because there's not going to be many of these objects running this place meeting stuff. And they're going to deactivate at distance. I think, yeah, this collision stuff's going to be fine. I think it would work just the same, Slidar, but doing it this way kind of allows me to shortcut needing to do the collision check if I've not closed a bit this frame and so on, and it just feels a bit easier to control in the step event. Because more on Erasmus, I declared it as a local, like, as a var here, so when you do that, that is valid for the entire rest of this script, no matter if I'm doing a with statement or anything like that. It's really useful for that kind of thing. When I declare these, I'm declaring a local variable that's local to this instance. So I can use that within the instance and to affect that instance. And so if I'm trying to do... So obviously if I'm referring to a local, an instance variable inside oPlayer, it's going to look for it in oPlayer, right? So then I would need to do other. But because this is just local to the script, it's absolutely fine. See Alberto Diego, I didn't notice anything you say, so I didn't know if you trolled a bit, but don't. If you did, it's bad. Can I explain why all that code can't be held in one set of brackets? I get confused when I see an if statement followed by another couple. Well, I mean, what I could do is write that in an and on here, I guess. Because nowadays in GameMaker, it didn't used to behave like this, but nowadays it can shortcut out, so it could find this and be like, if that's not true, it doesn't bother checking the rest of it. So I could do it like that, but I don't know, maybe there's something I want to do in here where it's separate. And I'm not wholly sure what you mean there, unless you just mean like, why didn't I put these two together? And with obviously needs its own brackets. So while not place meeting, oh, do I want to do this? Because that's going to do the place meeting from the player's side. I'm going to do it this way, which I don't know if it's better, but with... Oh, is it possible? Does the negative number seal, like, upwards? Oh, that would never be a thing, because it's got to be above 0, right? Oh, no, it can be, because it's, yeah. Oh, but I'm only sealing that. Then I make it negative, right, that's fine. So it should never be 0, I don't think. Otherwise that could cause weird crash. Draw a rectangle will help you out there, Rocket Gaming. Oh yeah, I need to, it's minus that because it's the other way, right? So I've shoved you out, and then checking if a 1 pixel below you is no collision, and if so, I just absolutely want to make sure if there we go. I don't think that should ever happen, but just to be safe, I want to kind of catch that error. And it's not if, it's while. Break bring you out of whiles? I think it does. Yeah, pretty much right at the end. Okay, so there's a lot more code there than there needed to be just to do some safety checks in case it breaks in ways that I don't think it can, but it might, because who knows, this is video games. But in theory, that should mean we like land flush on a door. So I might need to remove the other door to test this, because we still don't handle what happens if like they push each other into the non-order. That's going to happen really fast in our current setup. So okay, I think I'm. Oh, what? Oh, whoopsie doodle. That's the crack. No, I should have gone ahead and then moved that thing just then, but whatever. Okay, so I think that's good. I know it looks like I'm standing in it a little bit here. That's just due to the player's hitbox, I'm pretty sure. Interestingly though, you can't run when you're standing on it, because like you can see like we sink into the tile a bit as well. But let's move that somewhere. I want to be able to test that like here, for example. So why can't I run about on it? It's like, it should move me outside of it fully, but I'm not convinced it's actually doing that. So let's withdraw hitbox. Can I do like a if argument count? Argument 0. And then go into OPlayer. Oh yeah, that is to draw a hitbox there, so let's just... because they're temporary sprites R92, so I've been I haven't. My artist has been redoing the player sprite. We've got a new design for it, and so we haven't finalized like the jump and fall animation and stuff yet. So that's why that's like that. Okay, that's very interesting. Why is that sort of getting shunted? Is that something to do with my own player collision code? Well, the push upward looks like it's working okay. And then slow it down. Oh yeah, that's actually separate from frame rate, so that doesn't actually do it. Interesting. Yeah, because those can actually be at subpixels, so that might actually be a bit of an issue. There's no way for me to control image Y scale in such a way that the collision box is always at a pixel perfect place. So that could be a problem. Yeah, LiDAR, it's the same one. Okay. No, you can't just cut down the mask because that hasn't done anything. That's just made the mask small. Okey-dokey-doke. See, these are the sorts of things, like, it seems like such a simple thing. We're just going to add doors, right? But the problem is that things like this have unforeseen consequences, right? So I was mostly just thinking about how I'm going to set up the doors, make them move, and how the things are going to work with the buttons, which we haven't even got to yet. But it's raised this whole question of collision with the player, and how all that works and how it behaves, which raises a number of design questions as well as a number of complex code questions. So I don't know what the thing is where we're screwing with horizontal. Like, let me just take a look at because I haven't actually seen how it collides with objects in a long time. So let's just take a look at the player move script for a second. Collide and move. Non-tile. If place meeting x plus h should be a p block. Well, not place meeting. Okay, so I feel like the only way this could happen is if it... Because it moves at the same time that it does its collision check, right? So unless there's some sort of taking time to update thing that goes on there, because it's using the same place meeting thing, it should work. But I think what could be happening is we could be setting the player, because we're only ever moving the player by specific pixels. Having said that, when we move it by the shove amount is okay. No, that's either going to be 1 or -1, right? So that's, and then that's a sealed amount. So yeah, so we're only ever moving the player by integer positions. The problem is the mask is not at an integer position, so we could be running into situations where it's somewhat hard to predict whether or not place meeting will actually return true because of something being at like a 0.6y and so on. And I'm not sure if there's any way I can solve that because based on the way I'm changing my collision mask, which is just by changing image Y scale. I could, if I never move image Y scale erase all of that. In theory, I could, if there was a way to adjust image Y scale by an amount that I knew would be represent a specific number of pixels. So if I halved image X scale, for example, I know that that's going to take me from 64 pixels to like 32, right? Probably. I mean, that's not well, like 66 rather than like 33, but the 1 is on the top, so the 32 are on the bottom. But the problem is I can't just take an arbitrary amount off image Y scale. This is all fine for rendering because I can always draw to the closest pixel, but it's not fine for the actual movement. This is the thing. This is a thing I've said before with movement. So always want to try and keep everything at fixed integer positions if you can, just because it makes a lot of things easier. Yeah, this is a toughie. How could I vary the collision mask? I could do separate collision code for just these things by like having them have a specific like rectangle with which they collide. That might work actually. Well, rather than doing separate collision code as such, because I'm already doing semi-separate collision code here with place meeting. So what I should do is not use place meeting here. No, okay. No, it still doesn't work because we do place meeting in the player. That means that's still checking for collision with a mask that may be at non-integer positions. It's a toughie. So... And we need them. We just need the actual mask itself to somehow just be at integer positions. How can we do that? You can't set bbox, can you? I don't think. That would be mad if you could, because it updates itself. Yeah, it updates itself automatically. So like, if I just middle click that. Yeah, I don't think there's yeah. It's read only, of course it is. It would be insane if it wasn't. How could I... What I could do is make it a mask I think I have a solution. So what I could do is make a new sprite, make it 1 by 1. Okay, so we've got, this is one exact pixel. Make it white S pixel, which this can come in handy for all kinds of things, like writing your own custom draw rectangle functions and that kind of thing. 0 to 0. So what we're going to do is then make the mask of Odor, the collision mask, that pixel. Okay, then what I'm going to do is make image Y scale. So Y scale stuff, that's just based on, that's whether or not we're flipping it, right? That's a totally a different thing. Y scale equals, oh, just thinking about the position of this is going to be weird, but we'll worry about that in a minute. Let's just see if we can get this how I think, which sprite get height, or rather, yeah, sprite height, right? And image X scale or sprite get width sprite index. So to just stretch that out, and because it's by a fixed number of pixels, that mask is going to be an integer number of pixels. Not sure what you mean, Edison Marshall. Yeah, it is. I have not. I do know. I have not. No, Adrian Olby. Is that a movie or? That's how distant I am from culture that isn't how I'm distant from games culture, unless it's like small indie things. I grow more culturally distant by the day. And so my idea here is by having this one pixel be the collision mask, I can, by setting image X scale and Y scale to integer values, I can keep the mask at integer values. So doing that is doing that. Draw a hitbox. And let's change image Y scale. I'll start. I feel like that should be scale direction instead. Replace all. That's the only thing I've used it for, right? Okay, so the collision mask's going to be all over the place. So let's just see what it looks like. First of all, but let's take this 1 minus open percent. Y scale direction. And then that times again by sprite height. Yeah. And I might also want to seal that. And then draw hitbox happens. So that's, I just want to know what happens. I think it's going to be offset weirdly because of the origins, but okay, that's not what I expected. That's not what I expected. The collision mask seems largely on point here, actually. Still some weirdness going on, but we'll look into that. Feels like it's still getting some overlap. So that just might come down to some of my maths being wrong on the thing. But how is this? Well, what's going on here? What's going on with this? That's gone all friggin' massive. Scale equals sprite get width. Okay, so when we draw, we use that, don't we? Which we should not. Image X scale. Right, so we just want to use 1 for that, and we want to use Y scale direction for that. Should make that a little bit better. A little bit. We'll fix it bit at a time. Yeah. Okay, getting there. Position is just thrown off wildly. Happens if I just draw it at X and Y. Okay, we can see getting closer with every run. The collision and the image is in the right place. Sort of, anyway. It's still, there's a bit of the back missing. And if we look in here, because that's there now. So what I kind of want to do with this, I think, is instead of having this central there, we want to kind of have it there. Here. We'll do it like this, so I can. It's probably the easiest way to look at it. Not on one object, no. I mean, you can create chains of parents, Sake v2. Okay. So it seems to be drawing them in the actual correct spot. I wasn't sure it was actually doing that. Seems like you can move a bit as it's going. The thing is, when it comes down, I almost want it to bring you with it, like it is working like a moving platform. But that might be a bit much to want to do on these, and for now I would settle for just having them moving into them working correctly. I kind of want to have them draw GUI, draw text in whatever mad color we've got, I don't care. 150 by 150. D-box top. Okay. And let's get rid of the other door, because otherwise that's gonna... Mostly just want the bottom one at the moment, because that's helpful in terms of I can just stand on it for a collision, right? Okay, so that's very clearly an integer, which is good. So that rules out that being any more part of the problem. I don't seem to be like juttering as we go up anymore, which is good, but we do have that weird issue whereby I want to know if this is happening. So let's just Run in debug mode there, and I just want to see when that happens. Because if I'm just stood on it, shouldn't be any kind of... Oh, right, yeah. Continue. Continue. Okay. Okay, so why... HP 0 here, so HP search is just a... My current Y appears to be in the bottom. My Y is like... And it is actually in the box. So how has that happened? Because here, you can see there's an overlap, right? So how do I move this window now that it's in compact mode? Oh, there we go. So yeah, I mean, you probably have to look closely on the stream, but there is like a tiny overlap between the collision mask of the player there and the collision mask of the door, which we had hoped would never actually happen. This code should prevent that from happening on this side, and I'm fairly confident that works. Non-tile. Okay. Yeah, so that handles that movement all on itself. So let's assume that that's okay. I hope it is, because otherwise this is going to throw me for a very long time. So let's come back into the door. If the placement X, Y player... Can I run you? I want to know what happens first then. O player, so let's throw on a break there and a break back in collide and move. Yeah, that's still there. So F6. This. Debug mode does a lot of helpful things that help you debug, largely. So that's... Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, because I moved into it. That makes perfect sense. Jump, land here. So what happened? Okay, so this is happening first, which is good. That's what we wanted to see. Because otherwise it would have meant something like this was not updating well enough. Open percent is a massive thingy. We've got a variable on screen here that, yeah, that's always an integer value. So I think what's going wrong is we must be getting this stuff wrong. So we must not be moving the correct amount. So close this frame times sprite height is an amount times -1. So yeah, it's going to be upwards, going to push us up by sprite height 66 times however much we closed this frame, because that's the current open, what we were open, and now we're a bit less open. Okay, so this, that's gonna seal yeah, that's because that's gonna give you something. Wait, no. Close percent frame. Yeah, that does. That gives you a positive amount. Gives you that amount. That's how much it closes frames, and that multiplied by that gives you those pixels, I believe. But it might not, because as we can see, it's not actually drawing those absolute bottom pixels in. So there might be something funky going on there. Yeah, I think I might need to look into that first. But let's just step forwards, step into function. So show amount is -4, so I think we need to move up 4 pixels. Because that's the amount it's allegedly moving, right? So with OPlayer, move that amount, show amount, -4, yeah. If it's not 0, well, no collision. It's -4, so the sign for that is -1, so -1 is 1, so wait, well, the sign for that is -1, so y minus -1 is y plus 1, so 1 pixel below the player. Oh no, that's 1 pixel below itself, right? We need to be checking 1 pixel above. Okay, so we need to do that. And then we still need to subtract it from the player, because, yeah. Keeping your context of these things working in your head is quite tough sometimes. That 1 pixel above that. Oh, old map. I still want to know why it's not drawing this down here. So I just want to, before I see where we're up to now, I want to come in here. I want to draw some pixels, just like that, just to sort of see, just to help give a visual guide for what's going on here. Because if I see 2 blue pixels or 1 blue pixel, I know it's being cut off, but it might just be being stretched strong. It didn't look like it was being stretched strong though. Right, no, we actually do see all 3. So maybe it's actually stretching further than it needs to there, which is... Oh yeah, it might be sort of adjusting. Yeah, okay. Okay, I think that's actually working now. So positioning is a little tough at the moment. I think I can... Does it get the X offset of itself, or does it get it? I want to find out. I'll have to play with that for the drawing of the bottom bit. I don't think that's where it's drawing. I think it's where it's just essentially repositioning itself. But other than like the falling, which is kind of bounce because nothing drags it down, we could look into something for that. We could make it better. Say when it moves down. As it moves down, is the player on top of it? If so, bring the player with it, you know? Would actually be pretty easy to do that. So yeah, let's try that as well. First of all, though, I want to get this positioning right. So I positioned it down here, and then it's just gone, actually, no, we're up here, because its origin point is this second blue, well, it's not, it's like this blue thing over here, right? And then it's drawing it with reversed image X, Y scale. But, yeah, so what I need to do, I think, is where we have the drawing here, we want to do, instead of just drawing it at Y, we want to draw it at Y, like thinking of it facing the other direction, 2 pixels up, right? And so how do we get that? We want to subtract sprite Y offset, but this, it kind of went wild before when I did this, so I'm not sure what's going to happen here. Yeah, it's not quite working, because I think it's taking like the sprite offset from the mask rather than the sprite, or something like that. That is just a position, isn't it? Yeah. Where to draw it. Interesting that that's breaking that. Oh, wait. This Y offset is returning pixels and will be dependent on the image Y scale. Right. Okay, if I need the unscaled Y offset, I should use sprite get Y offset. Okay, let's do that then. So very similarly to what we did here. So the problem is that this changes based on image Y scale. Very much the same as like sprite height and so on. Okay, well at least that's sort of a consistent pattern for once in GameMaker of how these things behave. So like sprite height by itself is based on a thing affected by image X scale and so on and so forth. And that is like that. So did I paste that incorrectly? I think I did. Okay, now it's going the wrong way, but oh, it's going to be minus Y offset equals that. Direction. Let's bury that in there. I was going to put that in the draw step, but I think it's easier if I just bury it in here. Okay. Then the mask is still slightly in the wrong place. So how can I make that be in... Wait, what am I doing? I don't even need to... I could just... I don't think I even needed to do any of this. Go back to X and Y. Create. Because we don't really need you. Because all I actually have to... I was going to say I could just shift this up by 2. Can I set... I can set that though, can't I, right? Instance properties. Because I don't want... Because if I want to use this for other things, I don't want the origin to be too off. Birds outside are going nuts, man. I don't know what it's about. They make weird noises as well. Like, I don't know if you can hear them. But they are mad. Mask and bounding box, movement position. Let's just guess at the function until we get it. It will be... Oh, can't we just... Draw the same. Just add the offset, right? Wrong direction. Subtract. Just swap it until it's right. Using debug mode. Nice, I think. Okay. Oh, there's more than 2, isn't there? Goes all the way down to 3 pixels on the floor. Well, that's fine, because we can literally just adjust that one number in thingy to do it now. We've not made any other dependency. Cool, so that's working good. Let's go into the door 64 here. Let's lift this up to say 70. Let's just do this. Uh, 64. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it'd be 6 in the floor, and then yeah, okay. Alright, I need to try the door that's the other way up as well. So there's 2 things left, well, 3 things left to do with this door. So that's cool. A lot of people keep asking about, like, are you ever going to do like a moving platforms vertical tutorial anymore? But I guess I've kind of done it in the stream, so there you go. Vertical platform, well, it pushes you up anyway. We'll still get to do the carrying you down bit. But I think this is actually a pretty smart way of doing it. Like, rather than trying to build it all into, because when I first started thinking about this, it was like, how do I get the player, like not in this game, but like just how you vertical platforms and stuff like that. It's like, okay, so in the player, I was just building on the player step event and making it bigger and bigger, right? But that already handles most collision-y stuff from when the player moves. So what we should do is have the platform handle what it does to the player when the platform moves. Not only because that doesn't then have to have the player searching for all the moving platforms to do stuff, it's just that one moving platform searching for the player, doing its thing, and you can turn those on and off as you need to, which is good. But because you've already done the collision for the player's movement, then you just need to affect it by the platform's movement afterwards, and it actually feels quite clean. So I think maybe I'm having a bit of a epiphany on how vertical moving platforms work, which I don't know, might lead to a better tutorial on that stuff in the future. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm pretty happy with the way that these doors work now. For that, I shouldn't say that yet because we still got stuff to do. None of this appears to be coming up, so I think I don't want to take it all out just yet. But as I say, with these debug things, I don't think they should ever happen. They're just there in case something horrible happens, so I can trace the source more easily. Because otherwise, if those things broke, I knew they would do things that would be hard to tell that that's what caused it. Okay, so if show amount's not 0, so else, actually, else this. So if we've actually shrunk an amount, what we need to do is see if the player is on top of the door. So I can do if. Unfortunately, there's no way to shortcut out this particular collision check that I can think of, unless I did like a distance to the player first thing, but it's slow in and of itself. So let's say if place meeting x, y minus, how did we do it here? If not place meeting plus sign shove amount. It's like if the player's on top, I mean, I was tempted to just do -1, but that's not quite how it works. Because it's got to work in both directions. -1 or minus... plus y scale direction? Then if that's -1, that's 1 above, and if it's positive, it's 1 below. Oh, but we don't care if it's 1 below, because that way will then pull you up with it. We don't want that. We just want to see if you're sitting on it, right? Yeah, I think this should like not matter. if y scale direction. I think the horizontal ones are actually going to be very different. I was thinking I could just flip some variables around, but who knows? We'll get to them another time. Do the vertical ones first, because in theory they're harder because of the carrying and stuff involved, but and gravity and so on. Now, have you created any multiplayer game in GM? Nope. Oh well, actually, technically yes. Tribal Tension's very multiplayer, right? I've created some. I presume you're probably talking about like netcode type stuff, but I've done some basic things where I could make one client talk to another and do some like chat messages and stuff like that, but just never really had a multiplayer project other than Tribal Tension, really. Let's go direction equal -1. So for killing the player as well, I'm thinking I can just check if this happens once, if this happens twice in one frame, that's how we know that the player's been crushed, right? I think. Maybe. Could lead to other problems, but... So what are two things? Like if you stood between two and they two both legitimately try and push you, I guess that wouldn't. One thing at a time. Let's just stick with this. Left player, Y scale direction is -1. Place meeting -1. Oh, player. This has become more of like a moving platforms tutorial more than anything, right? Y scale direction is -1. That does that. So we know that you're sat on top of it and that. Oh no, we've already moved, right? So it's actually if that was true at the start of the frame, right? So we actually need to check like player carried equals place meeting. Oh, actually it equals both of those, right? Yeah, both of those conditions. So and that, and then I'll make that true or false. If player carried and we've moved, just set you to B-box top, right? I think. Which does that, and then subtract. Yeah, if it'll start just before doing that, do that. Yeah. Oh, the B-box top minus equal. Just making sure this doesn't stick you to it. Because that'll put your middle position in, but then we need to subtract like the difference between your Y position and your B-box bottom. So let's do Y. It's the difference between the two, subtracted. I think that works. So let's just see what happens. am I using? Hello. Let's see. Okay, so there's some weird horizontal stuff going on. So if there's weird horizontal stuff going on, I think it means a collision is happening somewhere. So I think when it goes up, we're fine. It's to do with it coming down, right? Yeah, something is not right there, so... Why would that happen? Yeah, because if I just find myself in a collision, the player's going to trigger its like horizontal collision stuff, because it's going to see like, okay, yeah, we're in a collision plus a horizontal speed of 0, we're in a thing. Shove us back the other way. Let me just go look at that. Quite a move. So yeah, it won't do that at all because we're in it. How would it actually kick you out then? Because it moves you as close as possible to it, but if you're already in it, that should never actually flip you to one side of it, I don't think. Not out of it, like towards it, sure, but like if you're already inside it, that should just not move you at all, I don't think. Oh, it might be ending up inside the tile, but like it looked like it was happening when... Let's make these move slower, because it's kind of hard to tell what's happening. So let's make this happen over like 4 seconds, like quarter the speed. So that's all fine. It is just when it's moving down, look, so... Yeah, and I think that's maybe dragging me into the floor, because like, there's no jittering happening until we hit the floor. So it's the tile stuff that's causing snapping there. That's fine. That just means that something is not quite... We're like 1 pixel off the amount when we do this. So I think we need to just do an extra 1, right? So always just 1 above it. Because I think it's putting us just in it at the moment. There we go. Is it still... So I think what's happening though is it's still going to try and bring me into here, because it'll bring me into the tile. Don't do it if open percent is 1. It might kind of quickly sneak around that issue without having to actually check the tile. No, okay. Something in there still not quite very close to it now, though. Yeah, because it is actually, like, it's taking those, like, 6 pixels still in there, right? Okay. I think we can still maths this out. So do I actually move that Y, don't I? Yeah. Top is less than the top of the first tile, right? Equal Y div tile size times tile size less than or equal to. Oh no, it's great. Wait, yeah, less than, so it's got to be above, right? And it's not lift player, it's lower player. Because we're lowering him on the thing. It's really like only in this case as well. It's like if it's vertically and it's... There we go. There you go. Go text. I feel like your jump is lessened a bit when that's pushing you up, which if anything it should be more, right? I think it's not quite properly counting you. Or it might just look that way. Oh yeah, because as you jump and then it's like gonna... Yeah, sure. Might be something I can do to say if you're riding that line, maybe give you a bit of momentum as well, like just to add to your jump. But that can come later. For now, it's very much functional. Okay. So now let's put the other door back in. We'll do it there. I want another one of these just chilling. Oh, where did that one go? In there for some reason. Like here. How can you make an online game? That's kind of a big question. Can't really answer that in the space of today's stream. Worth implementing delta timing into your game code, or should you not worry? It depends. I've like half got it in. I've got a time scale thing in here, but I still tie most of everything to frame rate because I find it easier. It's never. It doesn't really cause me all that many problems. I feel like I probably should do it. But I don't like to do things that I think I should probably do until I fully understand why. And delta time with me are just like all the cases people bring up as to why it breaks have never been a problem for me in my projects, so I never tended to do it. Okay, so we've got these doors now, and like they can work any way we want. So we don't have to have two like this. We could just have one. And so on. And it's this situation I want to isolate now, which is like, what, how do we know when the player's been crushed like that? So at first I thought I was just like, okay, well, if this has shoved it by some degree, if anything else shoves it, then we know we've been crushed, right? But it's a bit more to it than that, because we could have two of these right next to each other. Like, I could be stood here being pushed, like, by two thing. Oh, no, then again, because one would push me out, and then... Is there a way in which that could happen? If we had two next to each other, because one would push me out, and then the other one would move into its space and be fine, right? Or one pushes me out, and then the other one is moving faster than the other. Yeah, so it's kind of an edge case, but I don't want to rule it out if I can avoid. If I can keep it flexible, I'd rather keep it flexible, right? Then that lets me do all sorts of fun things. So shoutouts to the fact that we've been streaming for 2 hours and 10 minutes now, and like this is just making doors, right? Games are hard, yo. But I think we've added some fairly complex behavior to these. I'm pretty happy with how this has gone. Let's put these in there. Send me a copy of my game. I can't promise I'll get around to playing it, Sergeant Salt, but that's very kind of you anyway. I'll certainly take a look if I get a chance. Hello from UK? Well, I mean, I'm also in the UK, so hello to you too, other person in the UK. So the next thing, in theory, right, is to get this working with this. I'm just trying to think if we've missed anything else. Oh yeah. So the things on the list to do are the being crushed by two doors, which will want to just cause death. Does player just have like a dead thing, right? Oh, is it the... Might be the lance that dies. I don't actually know. No, either way, it's not actually in the create event. It doesn't seem to be. It has to be, right? I'm sure I just had a dead variable. I mean, yeah, I could check the state. That's fine too. Let me just search and replace for dead. Find all dead. Oh, var dead. Right, there's a temp var for dead. That we just check the state. We're just checking the state. Okay. So all of this stuff can only... We don't care about any of this unless the player is alive. So that's if player dot state equal player state dot death. Rather, if it does not. If it does, then we don't care about any of this nonsense. I don't know if that'll be the only state in which we avoid all this, but I presume it is. Will do. Please help you, Abhishek Bharti. Kind of trying to help myself at the moment, I'm afraid. But if it's a quick question, I don't mind answering things. Any chance of an upgrade system that allows changes to the spear or player's ability to reach more difficult stars? Possibly. I haven't quite fully thought through how all that's going to work. I kind of... A lot of my direction here is coming from the style of VBVBV, when I don't want to create too much of a Metroidvania style, like collect the thing, now you can go here, collect this thing, now you can go here, in terms of actual movement abilities. What I kind of want to do is have it so you can go anywhere right from the beginning, and just have it like gated by player skill and willingness to explore. So like you can go a direction and be like, that looks a bit rough, I'm gonna come back to that later, and you can go do another thing, get a thing, and you can just sort of pick and have your own kind of journey out of it, rather than the sort of guided tour you're taking on with like a Metroidvania type thing. So that's not to say we won't have cool abilities and do other things with the spear, and maybe it lets you get some places and so on, but I would like to try and do a less gated approach. It's more likely we'll have cool abilities that are like temporary or like or active for particular scenes and environments, rather than things that are like long-term permanent upgrades. What I'd like to do is just have loads of different sprites for the spear. Because like you could turn the spear into a sword or something really easily, right? You just swap out, I mean there are a few lance sprites now, but like, so there'll be a few animations needed for each one, like spinning and, but at the moment it's just with and without a hand, right? But so like I could just swap in like a thing with like a sword here, with this, keep the origin point the same and just make it really long, and then suddenly you're climbing with a sword, or just like loads of different types of spear from different games and things like that, which would be cool. But just more as an aesthetic thing. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that's distracted me. How do I decide if the player is going to be crushed by a door? So we now know that we're not dead if we're doing all of this nonsense. So after having run this, the player should be clear of any door at this point, right? It should not be colliding with a door. So what I suppose I could do is say, if I've been pushed and moved into another door, that's how we know, right? So with oPlayer, if place meeting XYO door, I feel like I'm going to have to do a lot. I don't know how similar it's going to be for horizontal ones, and if I can just sort of shift variables around. This section will need some changing, because it won't just be like about like lowering it and if you just happen to be on top of it. It will still be about if you happen to be on top of it, I guess, but we don't need to do this. But it might just be a matter of changing that to X and so on. But I don't know. For a different stream. I'll probably do that off stream because it's not as interesting or relevant to just be swapping that for horizontal, I don't think. So, place meeting, X, Y, O. I always forget to add the second bracket on the end of that. I don't know what it is, specifically with those kind of checks. Stars could be currency. Yeah, I don't know that they're going to stay stars either, but they're going to be star-like. There's going to be something that serves that function. I don't know that they're going to be stars as context, but there will be a thing that does that. Well, yeah, as I say, you can get things for aesthetic reasons and other reasons other than gating areas of the game and so on. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, if place meeting XY door... then we did, right? So what do I do anything special when I kill the player? Do I have like a kill player script? Let's check a spike. That's how we kill the player, is it? So that's a lot of stuff to just have just on spike, right? That's let's leave that there. But let's do player kill as a script. Is there any reason why that shouldn't work? If a player... Yeah. Okay. I might need to wrap a if player exists in that, but so that's fine. I don't see any reason why that can't just be plunked to a script. But I'm just going to bring a spike into here, just like this one, to make sure that still works. And then in the door, I can just say snap if place meaning XY door player kill. There we go. Quite a lot of collision. Well, there's always going to be at least like 2 collision checks per frame with. Well, no, there's always going to be 1. But if whenever the player's alive, there's always going to be at least 2 collision checks per frame carried out by each one of these doors that's active. It's not too bad. I don't think we'll have loads. We're going to have millions of these in a scene. It's not as bad as like having wall objects. There we go. Sick. See ya, Slider. Thanks for stopping by. I get confused because sometimes like a GameMaker dev discussion happens in the chat. I'm like, are you asking me or asking someone else? But it seems like you all got it under control. That's just, that's still fine. This number in the middle just sort of massively overlapping. Oh, where's my cursor gone? Is that just me? Something to do with me dying, not bringing the cursor back properly? I'll have a look in a second. So that kills the cursor. No, oh, did I like die and then restart and then the cursor doesn't come back? But it will if I do that, right? Okay. That's fine, because R is just a debug command at the moment, so I don't really mind that too much. But I think this now is all pretty much as functional as it needs to be. They don't react to the spear in any way, but I don't know that they should. I might do something to make them react as like P-blocks to react like rock tiles, where you get that bounce, but maybe like in a subdued way, which I can then just apply wholesale to P-block. Might be a thing. I could define P-blocks as either grabbables or bounceables in that regard, I suppose. Cool. The whole death animation is going to change, but the point is we send the player to whatever our current death nonsense is when that happens. A tomato splash effect when killed between doors. Damn. I'm probably going to do something a bit similar to Celeste, where we get like a bit of like a Mega Man explodey type thing or something like that. Ooh, okay. So what happened then? It is seemingly possible to die on one door there. So something happened there. Is it to do with, like, if I grab this? No, that should just push me. Ah, yeah, forget about that. That's the thing. So what happened there then? Like a diagonal I can collide with or something? So they're always seeming to be at the bottom, but I don't know if that's just a coincidence. So there is a bug in here somewhere. I don't think that's a big deal. Well, it is longer term, but like I'm not sure I want to spend ages right now fixing that. But let's make a note of that for now. Give me Sublime text. I'm glad it was interesting, SimUK. Let's. Oh, I don't actually have the notes in there. Well, let's. Oh, yeah, I had to do 2 regular TXT. There we go. Let's put this in the refactor list. bug with... I should make like an actual... I say like GitHub thing or whatever. Always just seems a bit too much for... Like, as it scales up, I might need something like that. But for now, I think I'm okay just tracking a very simple list of things. Bug with doors won't kill you at certain collisions and angles. Because that's got some interesting consequences about it, because that means we're getting to here and saying that there is still a collision with the door after doing all of this. Okay, so let's assume close percent this frame is not 0, so we're opening. That seems to be the only case in which it happens. It seems to be only doing it when we're going downwards. That means that it's possible to then get to here and do this. And so if there's somehow, there was a collision but we were going down, how would that... That shouldn't happen because the player should avoid any kind of collision. The player should not be in a collision with the door, that should be fine. It's like if it shrunk into the door, but that doesn't make any sense. Like the door has shrunk into the player, but that, yeah, that can't really happen. I mean, in theory, I could actually put this, and it would probably solve the issue in here. Because after shoving the player by the mount, if there is a collision, then we should die. In fact, I just realized this doesn't really cover all situations, because what if it pushes you into a tile, right? So it's like, yeah, so what we should actually do, I think, is it shouldn't matter when we're lowering the player, or if we haven't closed somewhat. It should only be an issue in any circumstance if we've closed an amount. So I'm still not sure what's causing that bug, but I think this fixes it indirectly. If I do this and say if place meeting with door or tile just do an in-floor check, right? Which, how do I do those at the moment? Player, I like how I said I wasn't going to solve this, and now I'm just like solving it anyway, because whatever. A position, alright, so it's just a position though. So I'll have to do it with all four corners, like, ugh. I suppose I could just do it top and bottom with the vertical one. Do I read comments? Yes, I do, now and again. But, like, it can be hard if I'm coding, like, you know, to just be reading them all the time. The mad scientist hair, is that what I've got going on right now? Yeah, it is a bit. I've got kind of that Rick hair. Oh yeah, I mean, you can throw the spear through the door at the moment, so there's that as a whole thing. So many things to consider with this stuff. Which is interesting. Do I want to like be able to throw it into the door and then have the door like come up and down? Do I want it to stick in the door? Probably going to treat it like rock, so it'll just bounce off. I'm just thinking, like, I don't want to do... It's actually quite a tough thing, this, actually. Harder than I thought, because... Well, I mean, it's not. I just want to do it in the cleanest, quickest way possible, so... Okay, so just remind... Let's go back to what I was originally looking for, which is... where do I use infloor? Infloor here, right? Which checks against the slope map, which, meh, but that's fine. Because this assumes that we've done some shoving, I think, right? Yeah, and I should check that as well. So in the direction that we have actually shoved, if we've shoved you into something, that's what we want to know, right? So actually, yeah, we don't even need it here, we need it in here. The further we can bury this, the better, actually. It just reduces the odds of anything else causing it. Or... var side equal debug. Oh yeah, so that does, yeah, we know the player exists at this point because of that. Var side equal bbox top. If y scale direction equals yeah, okay, so I think I can just check this one pixel. No, I kind of want to check a line, don't I? Or at least the left and right. Yeah, it's like I'm doing the entire of that, the tile collision check in here, which is a bit of a mess. I think I want to not do it like that, and I think I want to check in the player later. So let's just, we'll do it with doors, because that works quite cleanly to just put that in here. But in terms of tiles, I think we'll look into modifying the player collision so that just generally we die if we find ourselves inside a tile for no reason. Because if that happens anyway, it's a bug. It's either a bug or it's something that should kill you. So yeah, we can probably just do that fairly safely. Cool. What actually happens at the moment? I just want to see what it looks like. So you can see we've got like grab tiles here and we've got collision there. If I jump on this, I get pushed into that. Yeah, our collision is going to sort of snap us out of it, right? It's going to auto snap us to the right thing. Interesting, okay. So it's like I kind of want to like preempt it by saying like, okay, if you're just in here and you haven't even done your, like that, you've like done your movement yet. I think that's caused some sort of while loop crash there actually. Because it is all frozen. Let's close that down if we can. we go. So I'm going to avoid doors like that for now. We're just going to make them close together like this, because otherwise, issues. But I will look into it. I think I know what direction I want to take with that, but I just don't want to do it now. I want to do more the fun doory stuff. So let's let's go to this. Now I want to make them activate based on like this stuff. So I think what I could do is like give them a variable that's like a pairing type thing. When an instance is deactivated, what happens if you try and do a with it? Oh, I know what I mean. Because I would hope that just doesn't do anything, right? Like you can't do with oplayer activate or whatever, right? Deactivating instances. Instance activate, yeah. Deactivated instance effectively ceases to exist in the game, but individual instances can still have their variables accessed. You cannot use with object or with instance. Cool. However, you must access the instance directly using its unique ID. Okay. Yeah, because its variables and stuff are still held in memory. It's just not being processed in any way. Okay. I'm just noting this for later, because what I want to do quite soon actually is implement probably not on this stream, but implement a thing that deactivates instances that are way too far away from the camera to be of any relevance. Yeah. So I was just thinking about how that will work, but what I think I'm going to do is create like a pairing thing, because yeah, when I with them, then it's not gonna. Yeah, cool. It should be relatively quick. So odor. Variable definitions. Activate group. And then we can just give them numbers so that they like activate all the things interact with one another on like a basis of just saying, okay, when you do a trigger, just do like with doors, activate them if they are in the same activate group. And that works. I might have to do a lot of like with this, with that, with the other. I was just thinking, is that gonna fit into my parent structure? Okay, maybe poke entity with. I mean, I could just do with entity, really, can't I? Just make all entities activatable. So that's like, where does button get its activate thing from again? Because I probably thought about that. Oh yeah, I don't know if I like the word activate, actually thinking about it. Fine, might turn it to enable. Or like triggered or something. Once collision or Pokeball activate equal true. Case sensitive. To enable, because the terminology in GameMaker is activating and deactivating as a whole other thing that I'm going to use later. So let's do this. Replace all of those with that. Where did I get activate from in here? We inherit that from poke entity. Boolean. I am gonna instead inherit that from, and delete that there, and instead inherit it from here. Variable definitions. Enabled. Boolean. And I think that bug's gone, but I'm just going to take on and tick anyway because I'm paranoid. So we'll have all entities able to be enabled, right? Enabled is true. And also give them enable group. And we'll default it's like -1, right? Poke entity now has enable group -1 and enable true, cool, and each button sphere has enabled that. Okay, create step if enabled. Cool. So that means that gives that to anything, and an entity is like the parent of friggin' everything. A simple entity is not a child of it, interestingly enough, but that's because that's going to be things that I'm never going to want to affect with this kind of thing. Just brief check that my stream's still going. Okay, cool. Simple entity, Google Poke entity, right. So now in here we've got enabled that. Okay. Now I just want to check because I know I put some of these buttons in the game world, and I think I set. Okay, so I can, yeah. Just want to make sure they weren't hanging on to activate ones. True. Okay. Because I think what I can do is do things like. What happens at the moment if I just like toggle this? Oh no, not that. Toggle that. True. Will that just like be on by default? And then I'll be able to like turn it off by throwing a spear in and thingying it, and then retrieving the spear. Oh, god damn it! Right. Clear that spike. Still got my hitbox on as well. Yeah, so that's now on because it's blue. You turn that in. If I take it off, yeah, it turns off. Cool. So you can right. Interesting. So create that. Wait. If enabled. Oh, what I probably want to do is, where do I enable this in the first place? It's when the spear collides with something, right? Which I think is actually now a script. Lance collision objects, right? There's Pokeball. Enabled equal true. Do I want to do it in here? Or do I want to wait for the button to finish doing its thing and then the button can do it? So I'm just trying to think. I don't want to make it so the buttons can only open doors. I want to make it so they can open and close them, and I can swap whether it should be on off kind of thing. So I think the button should handle it. Yeah, so let's do it in here. With p entity, if enabled, is that what I called it? P entity enable group. Change it to that. There we go. Enabled group, so it's just the same. Enabled group equal other dot enable, which is var my group, because it's going to do it with itself, right? Which would be done. Not myself. Enabled group equal my group. Not naming these how I would normally name them. Let's get my variable naming conventions back into shape. Let's name things correctly. Inverse here the enabled state. Yeah, because then I could have something start off and that works, I think. Door, right, so now we need to make those doors not open and close based on a wave, right? I put open % in here as a thing, but I don't think I want it in there anymore, actually. I thought this when I first wrote it, but I wasn't sure. Open % equals 0. Equal open, actually, which will be, I just want as a boolean. Actually enabled. Which it has. Oh, that's going to make it true false, right? I know it'd work, but I want to be a bit cleaner about it. So if enabled, open % equals no need to remember, I have to do it exactly there when I want to open and position it. Thank you for the subscription, Kishore Tamil T. Glad you're enjoying things. Good artwork and music, but can't program. Yeah, everyone's got their own things they're better at and they struggle with. I can't really make very good music or artwork, so I get other people to do it for me. Sometimes, anyway. So if enabled, then we want to kind of lerp open percent. Else. .2 else open percent equal lip open percent. Do I care about them ever actually fully hitting 1 or 0? Because I kind of seal everything else, so I think that should be fine. We'll soon find out. Towards between that and 0. Again, 0.2. I think that's fine. I suppose I could just move it towards enabled, but again, like I don't. I feel like I should get out of the habit of using booleans as doubles. It's probably not smart long term. It's gonna break me for like so many of my projects I know are gonna break if they ever actually make booleans into a proper booleans. Just realised not actually set those groups up. What happened there though? Like they just like did a little thing. Oh wait, yeah, because everything's enable group at the moment, isn't it, right? Whoa, that's interesting. Like they're turning each other off. I shouldn't. Yeah. What the? It's affecting itself. Why is it affecting itself? I mean, first of all, let's actually set these numbers up correctly. Variable enable group 1. So this is how we would actually set this up. By just making all of these match the thing that we want. And then I can put in like another random door. Like here. Maybe another button over here just to demonstrate that those won't do the same thing. But I wanna... Oh, yo, we got cross-platform chat going on again. Sick. Okay, now it's just sort of... Oh, right, so if it's -1, it's going to be turning all the other buttons in the level on. That was what will have been happening. So there's a button, like, right down the corner. So, and that will have been enable group 1. So, like, you can get buttons caught in a loop of turning other buttons on. So that will do that. Probably. Yeah. Only sometimes, though, interestingly. Depending what state the other ones are in. Oh, that's interesting. Anyway, but that actually seems to pretty much work. Okay, at the moment I'm having to trigger it each time to open it and then to close it because nothing happens when it comes out, and it just inverts it when it becomes active, right? So it's when we come out we need to do the opposite thing. So that's Oh, this is interesting though, because what if you take the spear out before it finishes doing its thing? That would screw everything up. No, we can have this turn everything on, I guess, and then... It's a toughie. Hello from Sweden. Hello to you too, Vilcott Cage. You probably said that forever ago, but hello anyway. Because I've just realised, like, I could just unfold that as a thing, and it... Or rather unfold this from if enable and just do it down here somewhere, because the animation's ended and one way or another we want to flip the thing, right? Problem is what happens if you change direction halfway. So like you start activating it and then you send it back the other way and then it flips it for... Yeah. Well, I could say if image speed is not 0 when a thing comes out. Maybe it's better if I just do this on the collision itself. I think I'm not taking anything I need out there. Yeah, cool. So if enable, do that stuff. And let's go back into Lance collision objects instead. So this Pokeball, do this. And that's when it slots in the first place. Hang on though. What did I just get rid of? Because that needs to go. Yeah, enable is true. I almost want to make a boolean called enables group, but it's one letter difference or like that, where I'm just like, if it's true, just to differentiate switch between other things, but I don't think that's important right now. So, group, I'll turn on everything in its group. When do we bring it back when I right click. Oh, hang on, what was that? Yeah. Oh, because I can do that every frame. Invert the enabled state of its group. Okay. See what the hell happens. I'm sure I've forgotten something or I'm missing something here, but that's usually the case. So we're going to see what happens. No, it seems pretty legit actually. Even that, which is like group -1, which I would have thought would cause loads of weird issues, seems to just be working. What happens if I put more of those buttons out though? I kind of want to just see what that's like. What exactly that's sort of doing. These are all in sort of the root group of -1, which they should just generally never be. Be set to something specific. Yeah, it just works because if you put it in one, it just turns them all on. Which is cool because then you could have 2 buttons in one group. It's kind of like you can open the door from 2 different places, kind of thing. Interesting. So you pull that back while you stood on it. It's not a good idea. Anyway, we want to move that a bit slower than what we're moving it at the moment because that is very fast. So we can set that up as a variable in odor. Let's go with 0.05. I might want to set a style as well so it can open linearly as well. Rather than forcing a lerp. I just wanted to make sure it worked with lerps. A couple of other settings I want to put in here as well, like Boolean even. It's default to off. And so we can have it cause like a screen shake as it opens sort of thing as well. Oh, then we're going to actually want to really know if it's thingied or not. magnitude of say 3 for like 1 frame, so we're gonna do it every frame that we call it. So and then we want to see like if it hits that point, we'll probably do like 1 more or something, but we'll that's for another day probably. Okay, so yeah, I think those ones definitely are going to want to not lerp. I didn't even want to do that one as like a door like that anyway. I want to do that in this specific area of the level is going to be like one that just rises up, I think, from the ground. I'm going to make it so the buttons as well we can have a flag so you can mark them so they stay on, so you just have to put it in once and then it's just on forever kind of thing. Which I can do now, actually. Time is at 3 o'clock. I need to get some lunch soon, actually. This is enable. No, that's on collision even. That's when we return it. So once enabled. Oh, oops, that should be real. I hope that hasn't screwed anything up. Boolean. I thought I must have clicked the wrong drop down box. Anyway, stays enabled there. Let's just check the room, because that might have screwed with this. No, enable group still 1. Okay, good. In theory, I could just do it to the doors instead of the buttons, but it works either way. You alright? Oh, thank you. You want me to whisper? Look, I got buttons and doors.
You've got buttons? Why is she purple?
That's a hitbox, just being testing things. So there's buttons, and they open things.
Nice. Before the buttons did nothing, now they do things.
I think that one now, I just put in a thing so it stays on when you do that. Yeah.
So as well, they have like visual cues to show that a button's going to do that, or so because obviously some of them, when she gets this thing back, they don't have like.
What do you mean?
So like, when she hits that one, it stays open, but when she keeps that one, it like she pulls it back, it just automatically goes back down again. Yeah. So you're putting visual cues on the buttons to indicate which one it is. Or?
I don't know. Maybe.
Otherwise, it's a surprise.
Because, like, I mean, assuming you're exposed to these ones first or whatever, and you assume that's the default behavior, I don't think you're really going to worry too much about this because you're like, that's not working either. But you would come through there or whatever, and you'd be like, well, I'm through the door now. I can bring the spear back either way, and you could see that didn't change.
Okay, cool.
But it depends. I might still have to do that for different areas of the game and so on and so forth.
Oh, she looks so happy. I think it's a new outfit.
The problem is at the moment of this activate, that's triggering either way, even though it should just stay on. So, hi to here where we turn it on in the first place. This is enabled, yes. True, which it already is. Let's do. Put that in here instead. Okay, so it's not already right, so it shouldn't do that if it's... No. I should then not do anything. Cool.
What is it, Lulu? Everybody here.
And they're all in like the same entity group, so whenever these get enabled, they enable all the other buttons. No. Yeah. So, entities and things opening one another.
Oh, well done.
Skimmish says, "Hello, Sean's GF. You should be really proud of him." So you hear that? You should be very proud.
Always proud of you.
Whenever I see GF, I just think of like GeForce as in like graphics cards. So.
Wow, we're really dedicated to your graphics card there. Make all the visuals good.
And Coxie of Noob wants you to look after our boy in quotation marks. So, you've got instructions.
Instructions.
Anyway.
I've got more crisps.
You've what?
I bought more crisps.
Good.
And Coke Zero. So.
Very good. We've still got Coke Zero. We've literally. I hope you put it in the cupboard then. No. You're not. No, put it in
the hiding cupboard.
Go put it in the hiding cupboard because that's the rule for Coke. Well, you can have as much as you want. You just have to not take it out of the kitchen.
It's in the kitchen. I haven't moved it out of the kitchen.
Oh, good. But just put it in the cupboard because then you'll naturally drink less of it because you have to put effort in. And you can't just bypass this by just buying more. It doesn't work.
I am. This is literally what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, that kind of defeats the point entirely.
You're the only one that wants me to stop drinking copious amounts of black liquid.
Well, I want us both to stop drinking copious amounts of Coke Zero. Anyway, I've got stream to do.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll see you.
Hey, what's the matter, little girl? What are you after? Where are we going?
The cat. I say I've got stream to do. I think I'm going to leave it here for today. We've got doors, so that's cool. That's what we came here to do. We've got doors, we've got buttons. There's a few things that need working out with that, but I think hopefully if somehow you manage to follow this all the way through to start to finish, you got the idea of how this all works and interacts. So we've got our entities and they kind of enable one another in groups and disable one another. I think some of the flow of that might need some work in order to make it as flexible and functional as possible. But for the most part it just works, right? There's also probably some stuff we need to do for these doors and the collisions and stuff that are going on with them, and pushing the player and stuff like that, and the killing of the player when they get crushed. Mostly works between two doors. There's some stuff I'll need to do to make it so that we can do a door that like if it pushes you into a tile, will kill you. That's mostly going to happen within the player collision stuff, I think, so we're just going to check if we're ever inside a tile when we shouldn't be at the start of a frame. We'll just kill you, and go from there. But anyway, we've been doing this for 3 hours and a quarter today, so I think this is going to do that, and this is going to be kind of, it's a bit rough, this first one, but like, we're going to try and do streams more kind of like this, where objective oriented. They won't all be like this, but like the ones that I actually want to then archive and put on YouTube, like not unlisted or whatever, kind of want them to have a bit more of a point behind them so that they are better content. So like, because I feel like with me and YouTube channels, like you see streams popping up for people, like when it's just it's just a live stream, it's just generic live stream stuff or whatever. But if it's got a specific goal and a purpose behind it, then maybe it's more like a thing you want to watch. Whereas otherwise it just feels like, to some people who are just here for tutorials and stuff, it just seems like filler content, and it can kind of blur and distract from all the other stuff. So you've got some tutorials and then just like a blur of live stream that you don't really know what might have been happening in it or if it's worth watching in any way. So I kind of want to keep some of these a bit more structured in this regard. So I'll be doing a lot of work off stream, but then if I'm doing a specific thing that I think would be interesting for people to watch, then I will stream it and record it, put it on YouTube. I'm going to trim a bit off the start before I publish this one, but that's more or less the approach I'm going to start trying to take with this. So it's more useful for everyone as well. Yeah, I think that's it. That's gonna be it for today. If you're a Patreon supporter, I'll post the unlisted video so you can see it right away. Otherwise, I'm probably gonna do some cleaning up on the footage and then release it publicly on the channel on like Friday or something like that. And if you saw it live, then you saw it live, so you didn't need any of that. Okay. You do the piano outro, or yeah, let's do that. We'll piano out. It's a fun thing to do. So I'm gonna do that, and then that's gonna be it. So thank you all for watching. As I said, there's not gonna be tutorials as such for a few weeks because I'm mostly working on this game and I'm taking it to a festival very soon. But we will be doing more stuff like this. There'll be more live streams and things like that happening over the next couple of weeks. If you like what I do, head over to patreon.com/SeanJS and you can be one of these cool names that are scrolling left along the bottom, who are people who enable me to do any of this work and allow me to do all of the fun things that I do for you all. So thanks for everything. I'm going to badly play the piano and then that's going to be it. So I'll see you guys next time. If I can rearrange my seats and everything like that. Anyway, let's bring this over here. Am I still audible? I'm still audible. It seems like it's coming across. Okay. What do we want to play? I could do this. If I can remember how. Let's see if my hands can remember how to do this on the sword. Maybe not. Ugh, a bit gross. Nah, can't remember that one. I'm gonna have to study up on that one a bit more. Let's go for... Let's just do that one again. I'll do. I need to work on my piano. Anyway.